Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Craig Bennett, and today I am going to get into how to plan for a hack. Now, as far as things goes, I want to get in a few things. First off, the lighting. A few people in my last how to protect yourself from hackers video went out the other day or yesterday, and it was second to the last video I put out. There's a few people mentioned about my lighting. Hopefully I fixed it. If I didn't, let me know, because this entire webcam thing is still new to me, and yeah, any advice is helpful. So as far as that goes, let's get into the other thing I want to mention real quick. I just put out a video a couple hours ago on how to cheat in Pokemon Go. Part of it was saying something about using blue something. I forgot what. I already forgot the name of the program, but don't download that program. I was stupid enough to try it again, but like I said in the video, use a VM, use a VirtualBox, because way back when it first came out, it worked for a while. Then someone on the back end screwed up something, and it basically started screwing over a lot of computers, locking them up, and basically acting like malware. And I had to clean up on a whole bunch of computers, included some of my own, but a lot of other people's computers that had it. And I figured, since a lot of times passed, maybe I'll try it again for that particular video. And it you might hear some clicking and stuff in that video. It's caused by that. And yeah. So, and since I know how to remove it, it's kind of easy for me. So as far as that goes, let's get into this particular video. So a couple of videos back, I talked about how to protect yourself from a hacker. Check that video out, and while you're doing it, go ahead and leave a subscribe, go to Patreon and whatnot. But part of the video I mentioned in text form that you need to always expect that you will be hacked. And with that, you need to have a plan for when that happens. So that's a major thing. And with that, what I want you to do as a viewer right now is listen to the scenarios, then pause the video and comment down below before you move on. So I want you to list in the comments what you would do. What is your plan today before you watch the rest of this video? What is your plan today for these three scenarios? Scenario 1, someone hacks into your bank accounts. It doesn't matter what they did after they got in. It's just, that someone got in. It doesn't matter what they did, because them getting in is devastating enough. So what would you do if someone got into your bank accounts? Second, what would you do if you suspect, and both of them suspect, so let's throw that out there, suspect someone got into your social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Lastly, what would you do if you suspect someone got into your email accounts, like hacking in and all that stuff? List it down below in the comment section. Scenario 1, Scenario 2, Scenario 3. Even if you don't have a plan, just put nothing. Say you don't have a plan. It's totally fine. I'm expecting most people won't, and I want to be surprised. That's why I'm actually doing it, and maybe to see if people actually have some other clever things that might actually be worthwhile. And if you don't want to do that, well, you're no fun. Go somewhere else. But let's continue on. So let's go through the why have a plan in the first place. So the big thing with hacking is you need to have a plan, because even if it's a bad plan, a plan in general, it keeps you calm to a point. because you have to think rationally on what to do next, because you'll recognize pretty quickly whatever plan's a bad plan, but it gives you time to think clearly enough to form something to do or contact the right people. So with that, what you need to do is take a look at your plans that you got right now. So do you have a plan if your house catches on fire or whatever catches on fire? You might say no, but let me ask you this. Do you got a smoke detector? Do you have fire extinguishers? If you got a smoke detector, even if you don't have fire extinguishers, if you got a smoke detector, you automatically got a plan right there. Not to burn alive, or at least be noticed to not burn alive. And fire extinguishers, whatever. And you might say that's whatever to get out. But the fact of the matter is those tools don't work unless there's already a fire. So you're planning ahead by saying, okay, if there's a fire, things going to alert me, I get out. Simple as that. You might not know where you're going to get out, but you're going to know about it and you're going to get out. Fire extinguisher obviously put out, because you can't put out a fire if there's no fire, and the smoke detector shouldn't go off if there is no smoke or carbon monoxide, if it's carbon monoxide detector or whatever it is. So with that's fairly important to note itself. You already have certain plans in place, and that's a big thing. So with this, having a plan, the first scenario, if someone hacked or you suspect someone hacked your bank account, what should you do? First, golden rule. I don't care where you live. Golden rule. Contact the bank immediately. Don't wait 12 hours. Don't be like sitting on the fence. I don't know if they did. I don't know if someone did or didn't. I'm not really sure. Because here's the thing. I understand some people who watch this lives in third world countries and they're not going to have the same access to things like the rest of us. But for the most part, most banks out there in the world have some type of call centers, some type of thing out there. What you can do is easily call them up, explain why you think someone got into your accounts. They'll probably take the initiative steps and saying, okay, let's change your passwords and stuff, and let's take a look at your records and figure out what, and maybe this escaped your memory or not, and we go from there. And they'll take a look at your recent purchase and whatnot. Simple as that. So with that, in the United States, because I actually did this once, once in a while I forget things. I don't know, my memory goes out once in a while. Like I really forget things, even like my name sometimes. But it's rarity. It's like happens every so often. It's caused by stress and stuff. So with that, I actually called up the bank one time when, like, years and years and years back, thought that someone probably got on my account because I didn't recognize all these charges, the shopping and whatnot. Turns out it was me, but at the time I wasn't sure. So what ended up happening is they ended up sitting down on the phone, obviously, said, all right, let's change your passwords and stuff like that. Let's put an investigation team on your stuff, and they'll monitor it for some time. And then we're going to go down these charges and whatever, and for me to call them back if I remember doing these charges. And they'll basically do an investigation to figure out who bought whatever and how things were bought, and if things were found that it was hacked, then I'll got the money back. And that's fairly important to note, is it starts that process. And it happens. I wouldn't allow that to happen a lot, but it happens. And if it happens to me, it probably happened to many other people. And it's pretty important to note. So let's say that you suspect that you got hacked, your bank account got hacked, whatever. You don't recognize given charges and whatever. Your bank can easily put an investigation team on the actual thing and figure out with the logs when was your account last accessed, how it was accessed, if it was accessed by ATM or whatever, and so on and so on, and it will narrow it down. In fact, one of the things that brought up to my attention, because it took about 12 hours to point out some stuff that jogged my memory back, because they'll actually go down to, did you buy some stuff for this dollar amount on this date, this time, this location? And you start thinking about it and like, yeah, I remember that. Or you might be like, no, I didn't. And then that kind of really concretes it right there that they got to take a real strong look into this stuff. It happens. And it's something that you got to take serious. If you really suspect someone got into your accounts, you really got to use those methods. Now, with that, I want to mention in the United States, other countries, other things, there is laws for the banks to protect you for a certain amount. With that, what you need to do is you need to take a look into that, and if the bank screwed up or someone got into your system, is this covered? And it really should be. And what I found is what a lot of people don't know is if you use a I forgot what it's called, but it's something with the stock market where you can hold your money, not into the stock market, but into one of the companies like TD Ameritrade, Scottrade, or something like that, where I don't want to say exact numbers because I really forgot all the numbers. I used to know it back in the day, but like banks, actual banks, the number is like, and I'm just going through arbitrary, like 100,000, something like that. That's insured, and with these other things like Scottrade, TD Ameritrade, whatever, that goes up to like 5 million or something like that. Again, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's a dramatic amount more. So if you are loaded, by the way, I got a Patreon campaign. Check that out. That would help out a lot. But take a look at that, and that way you can get a little bit more insurance on your money. So that's pretty simple. Talk to the banks. Now, what else should you do? It's and as you're watching this video, why aren't you writing this down? You should be writing this crap down. So, first off, talk to the company. Second off, what you need to do is, and it's pretty much with all the rest of them, is find out where the point of entry could have happened. So this is actually fairly important because if the person got into your system, your computer or phone or whatever, how did they get into it? And that will narrow it down quite a bit on what you need to look at fixing. Oh, and if you really don't know how they got into it, it's because it's legitimately possibly so. What you need to do is look at methods they could get into it and look at how you're securing those methods. So let's say you don't know how they got into it, or you're still suspecting but you're really not sure. What you need to do is look at how you get into your bank account, through the ATM, through the let's say if it's money that you feel that's missing, through obviously shopping the cart and whatever, through the online shopping accounts, through your computer, through your phone, and through the actual bank system. And there might be a few other methods, but go down the list and look at what's you can control versus not control. You can't control the bank's system. That's probably secure anyways. You can't control your computer. You can't control your access, your login information to get into your accounts. You can't control how you put in your stuff into an ATM. You can control where you shop and the cashier, if you trust them or not, if they're going to steal information. You can control a lot of these things. So take a look at that and go down the list on how are you protecting it. Okay, with your computer, antivirus, firewalls, not clicking on suspicious links, shorteners, link shorteners, by the way. I can easily put something on it. Link shorteners that I make, I'm very public about these things. I even show how-to videos on how I make link shorteners for my website. It's very important to realize that. They go to proper places. If I screw with those links, my name is on the line. So realize that. But if some Joe Blow commenter throws a shortener link, or some forum or whatever throws a shortener link, some random person, how do you know if that's a proper link, a redirectory or whatever, versus it's going to add something onto your computer? There is websites out there that you can use that'll show you all this stuff, show you what the shortener takes you to, and if it adds something to the computer itself, and if it redirects you to one thing, if you meet these criteria, or something else if you meet some other criteria, which happens quite a bit. So that's fairly important in itself. Is note how you're protecting yourself through that with your phone. Are you sideloading apps? Are you allowing random people play with your phone? Like, if you let your grandkid play with your phone, unless they're a crackhead, that's probably fine, or your kid, then it's probably fine. But keep an eye on it. Obviously if the kid's like 8 or something, it's probably not going to be the case. But with someone who's personally has experience, other people who done drugs and how they screw over people and how they seem trustworthy, and then they go off. The thing is you can never really be 100% sure. So try to keep your eye out on stuff. So that's a big thing. But just go down the list. How are you protecting yourself? Same thing with online accounts. Is how are you protecting yourself through the online accounts itself? One thing I do if I'm buying something online is I go through PayPal. PayPal has laws that they have to follow through, and I know if they screw me over, I can actually go through a major lawsuit through the government itself, where I don't even have to pay for it. So it's pretty important to realize that, where I don't even have to pay for the lawsuit itself, and the government itself will take them to court for me. And same thing with banks and stuff, is where they can take them to court for me because they're breaking federal laws. So it's fairly important to realize that. And again, that applies to the United States only. It could apply to other countries. So that's a big thing to realize, is go down the list, see how you're protected. And when you find the missing point, fix it. And see if that was broken, did someone get in through that method. Past that, once you actually find out that someone did get into your accounts, then what you need to do is you need to go talk to the banks, follow their advice. FBI may or may not talk to you, depending on the scenario. There's a few other things that go by it, but it's basically talk to the banks and follow their advice, and just go through that. And if the breach was caused by the banks itself, like say for example, if let's say bank 123 ABC, they had an employee that had done a mass leak in the bank itself. It's not helping you out, but the it was their fault, obviously. Then you can get the government to help you, and that's a major thing to realize. There is you do have that option, which is fairly good with United States, and I suspect in European countries are the same way, and I'm pretty sure Russia, China is probably the same way with their things. So and Japan. So with that, that's a big thing to note. It's not much to say. What was the second scenario? I talked too much from the first one. Oh, so what would you do if someone hacked your social media account? First off, don't contact me. I'm tired of those messages. I don't care if you got hacked. I don't trust people. Get over yourselves. So what do you do if you're hacked, if your social media account's hacked? Obviously what you need to do is contact the company, appropriate company, that may or may not do something. Some of these companies are pretty famous for not doing jack. So what you need to do is simply, after you contacted the company, change your passwords and look into what could have been changed. And most of these things will have logs. See when you don't recognize a log, when you don't recognize when the thing says that you logged on when you didn't. A lot of it will tell you where it was logged on. That goes by the IP address. So it's very important to realize that. From there, what you need to do is simply go down again to each device, figure out where the point of entry is, and also people, figure out where the point of entry is, and figure out how you're protecting yourself, and then go down the list and figure out where's the weak point and go through that. So it's basic troubleshooting. From there, it's pretty simple. If the person did major damage to it, you could potentially look at criminal on them, but if not, it may not even be worth it. Like if the person just got in, obviously change passwords and stuff like that. Change your password for everything, especially if it's linked to like if everything has the same password. And depend on the social media site, because there's thousands of them. You might want to check to see if they may have thrown some type of malware onto the servers that would be linked to your site, to your page. So back in the day with MySpace, there was a guy who, not getting too deep into the story, but basically what would end up happening is he modified the system where if you liked him, then your thing will go out to everybody and say that you like this guy, and then it will happen each and every time someone liked him. I might be butchering that story, but stuff like that has happened in the past. So keep that in mind. If it has happened, it can happen again. Even if it's super secure, it's still possible to some point. Remember, hackers just have to be right one time. So from there, it's fairly simple. Let's do that. And also see if you want to keep the actual social page. Is it even worth it? So from there, it's pretty simple. The last one is contact the company like before, find out your weak point. You might notice a theme, but what you want to do with this one is, after you looked at the logs, if there is logs, is you want to go ahead and you may want to change emails altogether, or given you have that ability, because I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people have a lot of attachment to a prior email, so there's that. But the problem is if someone knows your email, and this is a weird thing, is and it's something I don't like. I never liked it. It's where you can actually look at someone's email address, and by their email address, the first part, that's their username. On stuff like here on YouTube, on Twitter, on whatever, for the most part, unless if it's a older site, a lot of that stuff's gotten away from it. A lot of it's gotten to the point where you don't see the person's actual username. With email, you still do. And that's the problem, is if you keep an old email address, the person still has a username. They know that they got in the system once, so they'll try it again in the future time. They might not be successful, but instead of risking that, just switching it all entirely. If it happens again, then it's a personal attack. You need to figure out what exactly is going on there, and might want to have authorities look into it with you, explain that you switch email addresses, it happened again, and it's obviously looking as a personal attack, and you need help trying to figure out who's doing it. Simple as that. So with that, that's a big thing to note in itself, is a lot of people that won't advise changing an email address, or they won't really go into that deep. But for me, I would, because it again doesn't make sense. Why is your email address the actual, obviously not at whatever, but before that is usually your username? That, again, it just doesn't make sense. But it is what it is, I guess, and that's all it is. So as far as that goes, and I might take a look into that in the future, to how to fix that more on a permanent basis, and maybe Google will see this and say, hey, let's change this, and since they're the leading in stuff like email, the others will follow behind, maybe. So with that, if you got any questions or anything else, then let me know in the comment section. Again, put your plan down there in the comment section. And if you felt like this one helped you out, leave a like, subscribe, share, and especially check out the Patreon campaign so I know to make more of these videos. Have a great day.